Interested in learning about wine, but not sure where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowman, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a wine enthusiast turned wine educator and founder of the Seattle-based wine tasting business, Cork and Fizz. It is my goal to build your confidence in wine by making it approachable and lots of fun. You can expect to learn everything from how to describe your favorite wine to what to pair with dinner tonight, and so much more. Whether you're a casual wine sipper or a total cork dork like myself, this podcast is for you. So grab yourself a glass and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. Today, I have a very fun interview for you to listen to. We are talking to Amy Yancey. She is a certified sommelier and the founder of Pocket Somm. And her story is very unique in that she started working on the floor as a sommelier, but after being diagnosed with a rare degenerative eye disease, she had to step away from restaurant service and build her own path in wine. She did not want to go on disability. She did not want to get what she quoted as a real job. She wanted to stick with wine and wanted to find a way to make that happen. She is now helping people discover thoughtfully made wines through education, storytelling, and her wine club. She has a unique perspective on how we experience wine, and I'm excited to share this conversation with you. In the first half of the conversation in this episode, we talk about how her vision loss forced a creative redefinition of her career, what changed about Amy's wine experience due to her vision loss, her wine club, Pocket Somm, and why it's special, plus some of her favorite bottles, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. So let's start with one of my favorite questions to ask anybody in the world of wine is just how and when did you fall in love with wine?
Well, I think it's funny, as I've been in the wine industry for over a decade, there's always this commonality amongst a lot of sommeliers. And I was a political science undergrad, and I had a minor in philosophy and history. And I remember I took all my science classes in geology. I remember one of my classes was geography of the atmosphere. And I just absolutely loved it. And I've also always been in the hospitality industry. I started when I was 15. And when I moved to Chicago and started working in, fine dining, and you pretty much have to learn the entire wine list to get on the floor and move up from food runner to server captain. And once I started going to these wine classes and started learning more about the entire menu, I was just kind of mesmerized. And also I just loved going out to eat, and I loved going out to doing different dining experiences and starting with cocktails and then having champagne and then getting red wine with it. The whole poetry of it all was so fun. And then once I actually, decided I was going to pursue my certifications and really start getting that foundational knowledge, everything from my undergraduate degree it kind of just encompassed it all. And wine it's art, it's culture, it's economics, it's philosophy, it's, an intoxicant. It's really fun. And so everything together, I was absolutely mesmerized. And of course I saw, I was in Chicago when I was studying, and there's all these master sommeliers in Chicago and tasting groups, and they were so kind to let me taste with them. And at one point in time, I think I was going to 7 different restaurants, wine classes, just because I was trying to taste and learn as much as possible. And I would just show up at a restaurant at a bar, ask to meet the somm, and be like, can I come to your wine classes? And it was I was hooked. Once I really figured out the world of wine and everything there is to learn about it, so it just actually just felt like a really natural progression from my degree. And as I've met more people that took this path, I've met so many poli-sci majors that are now sommeliers.
Interesting. I love that. I feel like a lot of folks, when I ask them, how did you get into wine, and all that, it's simply oh, I went this direction and I was going to do this very serious job. And then I loved wine and I did that, right? And I love that, a little bit of your story, but it's more so that you're oh, I was going this degree with my, poli-sci degree and philosophy. And then I realized actually wine encompasses a lot of that. And I get to use a lot of that knowledge and everything in the wine world, which is
For sure.
really cool thing.
And I studied speech and debate. I did policy debate. I did Model United Nations. And I think that really helps me as a when you're a server or sommelier, like you're on stage, it's performance, so I think a lot of my public speaking really helped me in being a good front of the house server and good floor sommelier. But also, like, when people ask me that question, like, genuinely, as a server, I wanted to make more money. Like, I wanted to work in Michelin restaurants and I wanted to be a captain, and you had to learn about wine. And in some restaurants, you pretty much had to have your level 1 quartermaster sommelier to even serve at those restaurants. And I wanted to serve at those restaurants. So I pursued, but and the certifications are really, I love the core. They, and W said I did both. They really opened my world up to the wines of the world.
Yeah. Wow. It just puts more appreciation. I always try to highlight whenever folks are talking on here about like when you go to those nice restaurants and the servers are there, like they have put the work in to
Oh my
be there.
gosh.
Like it is just, it baffles me the amount of work that goes into then just becoming a server. And so many people underappreciate that and don't realize of like all the knowledge that you have and everything you need to know in order to be serving them.
My mom loves to share that with her friends because I'm a professional hospitality. I was a server for many, many years. I was a sommelier for like the last, maybe say 8 years of that. My brother is a chef and his wife is a sommelier and founder of a restaurant group. And so she, had one idea. She didn't think in her entire, both of her kids were going to be hospitality professionals. And so it's fun to open up her world and so many other people's worlds are exactly what you just said. Like it is very difficult, especially when you are at the top of in those top restaurants.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick reminder, you are not on my mailing list yet. What are you waiting for? I would love for you to join. When you do, you'll get a free shopping guide that has 15 of my favorite wines under $15. Head to corkandfizz.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a little section where you can join the mailing list. I send out a weekly newsletter filled with wine tips, recommendations, special offers, and so much more. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, well, so we talked a little bit about how wine became a career for you, but
Yeah.
there was a pivot. So, right, today you are not serving on the floor of restaurants. You had a diagnosis, led to vision loss. Tell me about, what was it like making that change?
It was terrifying. It still kind of is. I think I saw your post earlier that was just like, I don't, have a private sum. This is my passion, not my career. It doesn't pay my mortgage. And I'm like, it does mine. But yeah, so I was diagnosed with a disease called retinitis pigmentosa, which is degenerative or it progresses over time. And the first thing you lose is night vision. So it became pretty apparent that when I was serving, and I thought like, oh, I'm just going to go get a day job as a wine rep. I'm going to go, drag a bag around the city. But it turns out I can't drive either. So that kind of crushed that. I did actually move back down to Greenville, South Carolina, in my hometown. And I had told the steakhouse what was going on. And they're like, we have the brightest steakhouse in the city. There's like floor to ceiling windows, like come work for us. So I did that for a number of years and became their wine director. And so I had a lot of office time, but it just got to the point. So I've been losing my vision from the outside in. So I have like, I can't see my hands or like even like a couple inches away from my eyes. So it's like a pinhole vision. And so I would say it's a lot of what got me to this point was actually nothing to do with the wine world or professionality. It was all learning adaptive and assistive technologies out there for visually impaired and low vision people because I'm not blind. I'm just visually impaired. I think it's called like severely sight impaired. I'm legally blind. The definition of legal blindness is there's nothing that you can do. There's no cures. There's no glasses. There's no vitamins. So it's like legal blindness. And so I have like 8% of a visual field. So I tell people it's like looking through like a little straw. So it took me a lot of time to just figure out what was out there. I was actively pursuing the advanced sommelier exam. And even to the point where when I was tasting with MSs, I've moved sight to before my initial conclusion. And I could pretty accurately describe the wine and what it should look like based on what I'm tasting, maceration, thin, thick skin, age,
Interesting. So it's like you
etc.
did the full tasting and you're like, I think I know what to expect now
Yeah.
from all the other things I would know. And here's what I expect the color to be, even though it's not just like, it's not me looking at it.
Yeah. And that's only because I pursued education for so long that I had that kind of stuff. I'm like lucky where I lost my sight in my career, although I don't think that it's like the most important. And I've met people, I actually have a meetup group once a month at my little wine shop. I don't own a shop. I just run a program within a place, but we have a meetup group of low vision and blind friends. And it's so interesting to see how other people experience wine depending on their level of sight and what they can see and what they can't see.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take us on a tangent real fast because I'm curious about that. It was one of my questions
Yeah.
about like Do you think sight is overrated in wine? I've definitely heard from a lot of folks about, like, do a tasting with, like, the black wine glass, so you can't
I
see,
do.
right? So you can't see what's in it. What do you think, like, if you could have folks, do a tasting where they can't see it, what would they learn?
Well, it makes you really evaluate wine without bias. And it's not even not seeing the wine, it's not seeing the label,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of groupthink in wine, good or bad. And I mean, I think every som has been in a tasting where they're like, I hate this, but I don't want to say it because what if it's something like really cool? And then I'm going to look like, oh, it's on my shelf. I sell this. And I'm over here just like, but I'm never, usually that never actually happens when they've revealed the wine. I'm like, oh, should have just trusted my gut. That wine is not, because people tease you. They'll bring you like the most bottom shelf wine that they can find at the grocery store and throw it in like a high-end blind tasting to see who can get it. But do I think sight is overrated? Probably not the word overrated, but I think everybody should try to evaluate wine, especially if you're learning. Not that you have to drink wine and evaluate it every time. You can just drink wine and enjoy it. But if you are evaluating wine, not knowing what it looks like and not knowing the label, I think can just really give you a different way of evaluating it, experiencing it. Sometimes, like, depending on, because I blind taste a lot of wines that aren't like classic. So, like, depending on, like, some of those really light trousseaus, like, I couldn't even tell if I'm drinking a red or a rose, and it's like trying to figure out exactly what I'm drinking, not knowing the color, sometimes is a challenge. And I never would have thought that until I started doing more black wine glass tastings.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like too, because I feel like at least, for the most part, like, as humans, like, our main sense is sight. Like, that's, like, the first thing we use. And so I feel like when I'm tasting a white wine, I'm never gonna use a red fruit descriptor for some reason to describe it, even if it could very well smell like a red fruit. I'm just like, "No, it's a white wine, so it's gonna be in the, like, tropical fruit or citrus
Yeah,
or something." Like, I'm never gonna give you a red fruit because that doesn't make sense for a white wine when actually, if I close my eyes, maybe that is what I smell, and that's
for
okay.
sure. Yeah, because there's a lot of fruits regardless that the juice is clear,
Yeah.
including grapes itself.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll bring us back. Let's take us back to your career. I was just like, that was one of my questions, and I was like, it was perfect time to segue into it. But yeah, talk to us about. So now you worked at the steakhouse for a while as a wine director, and then where did you go from there?
Well, after COVID, the sommelier wine director only positions kind of went away. So I was a wine director manager, but they kind of accommodated me by managing lunch so I could be in like brighter light. So I would open the restaurant, manage the lunch, and then do all of my wine director-ness in the afternoon and then get home before it was too dark. The company was actually phenomenal with accommodating me. Unfortunately, the next thing that came in this silly, annoying disease is insane light, like, sensitivities. Like, even my house now, I had to, like, install blackout curtains in my own house, which I hate, but I just cannot be near a window. So those 70-foot floor-to-ceiling windows became, like, the bane of my existence, and I also started having to use a white cane because my vision narrowed so much that, like, I was always staring at the ground, so I was bumping into people, or but then I started looking up, and unfortunately, it just got to the point where I couldn't safely navigate a restaurant and be safe for food runners running around and bartenders and cocktail servers and guests swiping a white cane and wearing sunglasses because it was so bad. So it just got to a point, and they were very much like, just go on disability. We love you. Like, we'll help you transition to SSDI. Like, just retire. And I was like 32. I had just finished the advanced course in Dallas, and I just wasn't ready to retire, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I created Pocket Somm because over the decade and between Chicago and where I'm at in Greenville, South Carolina, I'd made so many regular friends, especially collector regular friends. I'm in a smaller market now, and people would bring in like their nice wine and be like, "Oh no, don't worry, like we'll open it." And then I would like pull my Durand out of my pocket and be like, with my cheesecloth, and like, "You sure you don't want me to do it?" And then they're like, "Oh wait, what up? What's up, girl? Like, who are you?" So I became friends with like anybody that like knew anything about wine and kind of got a reputation. So I basically became a private client buyer for a little while, and I needed a license. In the South, liquor, beer, and wine are separated. Beer and wine is one license, and liquor is a separate license. And there was this super cool craft beer store. It's been around for like 15 years, and they don't really sell wine. So I went there and I was just like, "Hi, I need a partner. Like, can I give you money and you let me use your space and your license?" And they were like, "Sure." And so 6 months of just doing private client sales, they were kind of blown away because they had no idea, like, how expensive wine can get or, like, think about the profit margin of like a 6-pack or a draft beer versus like a glass of wine or a bottle of Cabernet. So they very quickly asked if I wanted to move in. And so now I have a 150 bottle retail space within this like nerdy craft beer store, which also gave me a place to hold my wine and like also a staff to like receive it, somewhere to hold it, someone to sell it, someone to ring it up, stuff like that. So
Wow, that's such a genius idea. I'd never even thought about like like the idea of like having a wine shop or because I've been with my
retail
business,
partners.
there was a part of me that was like maybe I'll sell wine with it, but then like God, going into the whole liquor law, like liquor license and all that was so complicated. And each state is different, but that's
Yeah, they
genius
are.
to like be like, yeah, let's work into a business that's already open that you kind of meshed with. You were like, it's cool craft beer. Let's do some cool wine here. And to just partner with them on that. That's genius.
I had looked at doing a couple like fine wine stores too, because at that point in time, I hadn't really figured out how to be low vision and like be badass. I was still kind of scared, getting around, navigating by myself. I was attached to someone's arm for like a year. I finally really settled in using a cane, and now I can honestly get around anywhere I need to go with a cane, but it just took me some time. So I was like creating Pocket Somm, but also like learning how to, readjust to this new landscape. And my vision still changes all the time. But in the beginning, it was more shocking. Now I kind of know what to expect. And I still have highs and lows with it because it will continue to decline. Like, I love my little 8%. And like, she's so primo. So, like, as that goes, but I've met so many people like I said, I have a blind and low vision meetup group every month. And there's so many people that have my exact disease that are completely blind. They're 10 to 15 years older than me. And they're so cool and they're living such happy lives and they've completely readjusted and they have, just so normalized. So, it took some time for me to normalize my own disease. And so, yeah, the beer store, something about working in like this, like selling really like culty champagne out of like this laid back, like all of the guys have like tattoos and long beards but they're nerdy in their own way. And they understand beer in a way that I couldn't relate. And so now, we do a monthly beer and wine class for the staff. And a lot of the guys that work there are part-time brewers that are just hanging out. So it's been an incredible experience. So I partnered with them and then I partnered with a DC e-commerce company. And that's how I know we're going to talk about it, but that's how I sell wine nationally. So if you ever want to talk about, selling wine through other people's businesses, like obviously I make other people money, which is why they want to work with me, but I also make myself money. So
Right. No, I mean, it works for you and that's smart. That's how you get it. And that's how like you just be like,
people
hey, can I
like
do this? And
money.
like we're not gonna make you any money. Like yeah, there's gotta be a reason for it.
Yeah, and it takes some time for me to, like, prove myself, like, "Hey, let me in. I'm gonna make you money. I'm gonna make me money, and
Yeah.
everyone's gonna have fun, and we're gonna do it, with integrity." That's a big, big part of my authenticity and integrity are pretty big ethos of mine.
Yeah. I did want to talk one other thing that I wasn't prepared for with the questions, but I love that you highlighted it was like with working with these craft beer guys, I wonder if that also has an impact on like the way people see wine when they come into the store. Cause I think a lot of people are very intimidated by wine in a way that they're not intimidated by craft beer. Even
Right?
though these guys are just as like nerdy, like you said, about their beer and they know about it, it's far less intimidating for someone to walk in and question about the beer or to ask for a recommendation, I find, versus like wine. And I wonder if like being in that shop and being with the craft beer, it kind of has that effect on the wine where it makes it a little less intimidating for folks. Wait, I know you think this is an ad, but it's not. So don't hit skip. I have a small favor to ask. Here's the truth. I will never charge you to listen to this show, but every episode takes time and money to create. So if this podcast has helped you pick a better bottle, learn something new, or just kept you company, would you consider becoming a paid subscriber? You can show your support for just $3, $5, $8, or $10 a month. To say thanks, every single supporter gets a shout out on the next episode I record. And if you choose the $10 tier, you actually get to pick a future episode topic. Setting up a subscription is a great way to show your love for the show. Just click the link in the description right now. Thank you for listening, supporting, and being part of my wine-loving community. Now let's get back to the show.
It depends. I mean, there's all different types of wine drinkers. I like have different categories, but it is a little difficult to sell wine out of a place that's called Greenville Beer Exchange. It was kind of funny. I won Best Wine Store in the upstate of the Carolinas. And so like when it won, it was like Greenville Beer Exchange because you have to win under the license it's under. So people just thought it was like a mistake.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
funny.
Pocket Somm within the Greenville Beer
Yeah.
Exchange. Kind of a mouthful, but locally it works. But that's why I really wanted to do being able to. I had the wine club is just a part of it. I could do just like an online wine shop. It's just e-com in general, e-commerce of just shipping wine, so that I could actually put it under Pocket Somm's brand name. But yes, beer drinkers, even in its most expensive, I'm thinking like Cantillon, like a lambic that or a sour that's really iconic, they're still like 30-40 bucks. And that's like a ton of money for a craft beer. So, and I happen to specialize in champagne. I'm kind of the bubbles girl. Grower champagne is my favorite. I have 50 SKUs of champagne in my shop. So a little bit of it, so like half of the shop is champagne. And then I do keep some like, pet nets and real natty. I love real like weird natty stuff. And the beer drinkers love that because they already love lambics and gozas and sours. But most of my wine is pretty clean. My shtick is very much like organic, natural wine with no flaws. Like just wine made pristinely from beautiful places on the earth that doesn't have a lot of manipulation, but also tastes like wine.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, well, let's dive into then. So Pocket Somm is what you created. This is the brand that you
Yeah.
have. From what I was reading, so I got like a lot of it, there's a wine club seems to be like kind of the main shtick of it. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is and what makes it different from, first other wine brands in general and what makes the club different from other wine clubs?
Well, thank you. So Pocket Somm has been just, my creative redefinition of my career. It is a retail partnership. I do a lot of private tastings. I also have like a little, like almost like a hospitality group, if you will. There's like 7 different chefs I work with. I have 5 other sommeliers, bartenders. So I almost do like a concierge. Like people in my town really know and trust my taste and my ability to throw a good party, I guess, with good food and good wine. So I've been just kind of like every route that you can take as a private sommelier, I've been kind of exploring to figure out like what is my next step and how to keep I'm trying not to go get a real job. So, yeah, the wine club is definitely where I'm focusing now. It's kind of my newest venture working in e-com in general and being able to go outside of my local community, give people access to Pocket Somm, which is my brand. My personal brand is just to cut through the noise of commercial food and wine. There is a lot that people don't tell you about what goes into your wine. There's no ingredient labels. There's a lot of marketing. There's just a lot of about wine that I didn't know until I knew. And now I'm kind of like, I think I found like the secret. I just want to tell everybody and tell all my friends. And you don't have to have hangovers. Like you can drink wine that's, 20 bucks and organic and delicious. And so I also definitely specialize in kind of cultier wines, but not cult wines like Koch and Loire and, Reyes, but like cults like, non-clares and Chimero and Ribintos, like just like things that are anywhere between 30 and 40 bucks on a shelf that are outstanding and then made, I guess you could use the buzzword organically, but I like to use the word agrarian or just farmed. They care about the ecosystem. They care about the people who work their land. They care about the juice. They're not putting a lot of additives or manipulation or sulfur in their wine. So Pocket Somm really is just if you like that kind of stuff, this is the brand for you. And I'm going to select those wines. And then my wine club, I record myself talking about the wine. I want it to be like, I'm your sommelier at your table. I'm just at your dinner table and I'm on your cell phone. I'm in your pocket.
Oh, I like it. I
But
like it. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about I feel like a good way to kind of introduce folks to this who are listening, right? If trying to decide if this is a good club for them, is this something they'd want to join? Are these the wines they'd like? Can you highlight kind of some of your favorite wines that have gone in these boxes before?
Ooh, yes. So I really love Spanish wine, French wine, Italian in the United States. I really also love, Greek, Croatian, Slovenian, really all over. But the cool climate, you'll see a lot of more cool climate wines, and you're going to see a lot of great varieties that the market sometimes doesn't put on their list because they're unheard of. And people sometimes don't want to try a wine they've never heard of. They don't want to spend money and then not like something. So I try to put wines that I know are pretty crowd friendly, but phenomenal. So, like one of the wines I put in, I was super excited is Guimaraes. The grape is Mencia, or locally they pronounce
Mm.
it Mencia. It's from a Barra Sacra. It's like a beefier Pinot or like a beefier Gamay, but still really ethereal and bright and has all these like mineral qualities. And herb qualities. And when you see the place that it's from, it's like absolutely stunning. You can't even drive a car up there. A wine from California that I put in that I love is John Lockwood's Infield. I put in his 100% Cabernet Franc from Sonoma. Rangi di Chala is in Friuli in the northeast part of Italy. I put in like a Rafosco blend, which is just a red grape in northern eastern Italy. I also have a entire like champagne sector of my wine club that I call the Special Club. It's not all club bottlings, but I put in Florian Laval, which is the very famed champagne maker George Laval's son, or Nowak, which is like Meunier, which is a grape within Champagne, and the Val de la Marne. So you're really just trying different families and different farms, and you're really discovering, do you like this property the way this person makes wine, and then hopefully you can then explore more wines by that winery or just try something new. So all of the wines that I put in, they all have the same like ethos of, thoughtfully farmed, no additives, no major sulfur or manipulation. And so you can taste the place and then the grape that the grape usually is indigenous to that place. A lot of times we plant wine grapes for the market. These are wines that have just been farmed there by families for generations. Those are the wines I kind of seek to introduce.
Yeah. It's like it's meant to be there. That was like it's been there, and that's why it does well there, and then it ends up tasting great on its own. You don't have to do that much work to it for it to taste amazing.
I agree. I think that what you just said like really hits the nail on its head. Where the wine is farmed really well, you don't have to manipulate. And it's not even just farmed really well, it's the place that it's from as well.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. Now, if you want to learn more about Amy's brand, Pocket Somm, or are curious to learn more about the wine clubs and potentially join, be sure to visit her website. That is pocketsommgvl.com. I will put the link in the show notes. And if you want to join her club, if those wines sound like wines you love, which honestly, they are exactly right up my alley, so I will be looking at this, be sure to use code CORKFIZZ, that's CORKFIZZ, for $15 off your first order when you sign up for the subscription wine club. So you need to sign up for the subscription, not the one time, to get that special offer. Of course, if you love this episode as much as I did, please rate it, leave a review. Let me know if you enjoyed hearing Amy's story and if there are any other people you'd like me to interview. And if you want to show additional support to the show, you can become a paid subscriber. Click the link in the show notes, become a monthly supporter. It's $10 or less a month. You'll get a shout out in the next episode that I record. And if you choose the $10 a month option, you get to choose a topic for a future episode. In next week's episode, you'll hear part 2 of my interview with Amy, where we talk about why Amy prefers to use the word agrarian rather than natural when referring to the wines she champions in her club, how to hunt down under-the-radar wines, a little extra info on champagne since she is a lover of all things champagne, and so much more. Thanks again for listening, and if you want to learn more about wine, come follow me at Cork and Fizz on Instagram. Cheers!